So you're interested in getting a premium WordPress theme for your website. Well, let's talk about the benefits of using a premium WordPress theme versus a free theme that you can just pick up from the library. Now, I'm not trying to throw shade on any of these free themes because they're great. You know, there's thousands and thousands of these. You can pick one up, use it. There's so many. You can most likely find one that looks just like what you need and then just pop your stuff in and be ready to go. That being said, I have been developing websites for myself and clients and so forth for over a decade now, and I've tried tons and tons of themes over the years. And I've learned a lot, and I kind of want to just share what I've learned so that you don't have to make those same mistakes yourself. The biggest thing that I have found when finding the right theme is the reliability of the theme. So what I mean by that is if you spend a bunch of time putting together a really nice website, it looks beautiful, and then all of a sudden you start getting, critical error messages, and you show up one day and your website looks like all broken and the styling is not right, the menu looks all wrong, everything's messed up, and you go to try to fix it and you can't fix it. The company that built the theme no longer supports the theme because it's 3 years down the road, and things change. Whoever built this theme here, I guess Astra is kind of a more popular one. Some of these are more popular, but whoever built Newsmatic might not be paying too much attention to it 5 years from now, but your website might still be using it 5 years from now. And you don't want to show up one day and realize that you built your entire website, put all this time, money, and energy into a website, and you can no longer use this theme. So now you got to build it all over again using a different theme. And that is like the number one thing I've found that you want to try to avoid, at least if you plan on having a website for any extended period of time. And typically once you go to all the work of setting all this stuff up, you don't want to just take it right down, right? So reliability is number one, at least in my book. There's just nothing more frustrating than having your website break. You're trying to reach out to the theme developer. They can't help you. You can't find anyone that can help you. There's no documentation because it's just a free theme, right? And that's kind of where the paid themes come in. So I like and have probably been using Avada the longest and the most in terms of paid themes. It was actually recommended to me by somebody who's been in the space for 10 years at that time. So we're talking like 20 years ago now, close to. This is one of the oldest themes. It's also, they had claimed at one point it was the most sold theme of all time on WordPress. So there's almost 1 million people that trust Avada, basically websites, right? People who bought the site or bought the theme and are using it. So the reason I like this theme is because the developers who created this theme are amazing. They're constantly rolling out new features that actually make your website even better, rather than it degrading down to where it no longer works and it ends up looking like this, right? Instead, you pay $60 one time for this theme, and now for the rest of time you get all the updates that come with it, and this team is constantly working on this theme to make it better and better and better. And when they roll out updates, they're keeping your website secure, which you're not always going to get with these free themes. And WordPress is notoriously vulnerable, so it gets a lot of attempts at hacking. People try to hack WordPress websites more than any other type of website out there, just because of people who set it up and don't set it up securely and things like that, right? So you don't want your website to get hacked or for it to crash or anything like that, which is why I've had websites that have been on Avada for 5-6 years and no issues. Literally not a single issue. And I can't say that of any other theme. Like I've tried Divi, which is also a hugely popular theme. It's probably between this one and Elementor. It's probably a toss-up between the most popular right now. But that being said, Divi and Elementor allow other companies to create like child themes that are built on top of the core theme. And because of the amount of customizability and of other players that they allow into their ecosystem, it seems to have caused a lot of issues in the long term for these companies. Like Elementor, I'm subscribed to the newsletter for WordFence, and they tell you when there are major vulnerabilities in the WordPress ecosystem. I think the thing that I see the most is Elementor. There's just so much built on this ecosystem that there's inevitably going to be somebody that builds some plugin that screws everything up, or something's not right, and so then a whole bunch of sites are compromised and hacked, and next thing you know, you got to build your site over again or try to restore from a backup. Divi, not so much. I don't see the security issues as much with Divi, but I do see where we had built websites on Divi, and then a couple years later it's buggy and not working, and nothing ever works right, and then you're trying to constantly patch it and repair it. And that's why I always suggest spending something like $60 for a theme like Avada and getting something that is going to work for the next 5, 6, 10 years. As long as you're in there, just clicking the update button and making sure you're updating right here so that your theme is up to date, right? As long as you're doing that, you're pretty much going to be good to go for the long run with something like Avada. On the flip side, if you go with Cadence, never even heard of this one before, in 2 years from now, it may be completely obliterated and you might be in a situation where you're just kind of upstream without a paddle, as they say. Now, on top of all of this, with the free theme, you're only going to have limited customizability. So with something like Ocean WP, right, it's probably going to look a lot like this when you're done building it. Same thing with Astra and a lot of these themes. They're kind of built to have a specific look and feel, and that's pretty much what it's going to look like, unless you know custom coding, in which case you wouldn't be using a free theme to begin with. Now, with something like Avada, well, they have these pre-built sites where you can actually just start with a pre-built site. So you spend $60 and now you have access to dozens and dozens and dozens of highly professionally done websites that you can start with as your template. And then you can work from there and build it out and make it however you want. So, let's say you're a plumber. You could start with this theme here and then put your content, your information in here, and you can customize this template that you use to look however you want. If you want to delete the whole header, you can. Not necessarily something I would suggest, but maybe you don't like this top bar up here. You're gonna be able to customize pretty much anything and everything in this theme, which is why it is so powerful. The one thing that I will say as a caveat to that, though, is if you don't have a lot of time to spend messing around with tons of different settings and figuring things out, it's maybe better to go with something like a theme that is free, that looks identical to what you want, where you can just put a few things in, change a few things, and be good to go, right? So that's the one caveat, is with something like Avada, where you're going to be able to choose a template like this and then customize it to look any way you want. It's going to have a lot of features, a lot of settings. There's just going to be a lot of stuff going on, and there's going to be a learning curve. So just keep that in mind as well. That being said, if you pick this stuff up relatively quickly, you kind of want to learn, jump in, this is going to give you the ability to make your site look however you want it to look, both on desktop and mobile. It's going to have, you're going to have full control over everything. It's also going to be secure, stay up to date. It's not going to break down on you, and your website's going to last a long time. So those would be my main considerations when thinking about the benefits of using a premium WordPress theme versus just a basic free WordPress theme. Now, if there's anything you did have questions about, don't hesitate to reach out. You can just drop your questions in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to them there. If you're like most new business owners, you're probably struggling to get your online presence established, let alone get it to the point where it's bringing you a consistent flow of customers, right? So that's why I created this free course where I actually walk you step by step through the whole process of setting up your online presence.
This is the same process we've been using for our clients for over a decade at one of my agencies. And essentially, I'm going to show you how to set up an SEO-friendly business name right from the get-go, how to develop your website really quickly and easily, how to set up your Google Maps listing, start getting some Google reviews, everything you need in order to have a substantial online presence where people can actually start finding you and purchasing your products or services. The best part is I'm going to show you how to do it in under a couple of hours and all for less than $50. If you're interested, I'll leave a link below where you can get signed up today. Make sure to check this course out for free right now because I'm probably going to start charging for this at some point in the future. All right, I'll see you on the other side.